our evening. It's been, I think this is our seventh education every couple of years. When did we start the first time? 2000. I remember, well, I guess 15 or more years ago, one of my patients, Phil, who was here, spoke. And it's always very moving. It takes a pretty brave person who's a patient or a family member to speak in public. These guys you just heard, they do it for a living. Some of them even get paid to do this. So they have lots of slides, but it's always a delight, interesting and moving to hear patients. So I don't know Teresa. I think she was recruited from the registry, but I'm really pleased to invite Teresa Tiano. I guess she'll be telling us her story. Thanks very much.
Hi everyone, my name is Teresa Tiano and I have Lynch syndrome. I'm very honored to be speaking here tonight, but to be perfectly honest with you, and for obvious reasons, I wish none of us had to be here. So my presentation or my speech is called My Life with Lynch. A little bit about myself. I'm 51 years old. I'm married to my amazing husband who's videotaping me right there. I have an incredible family, friends who are always there for me. I work full-time in the charitable sector, and in my spare time, I run a small not-for-profit organization that I co-founded called My Gut Feeling. It is the only organization in Canada dedicated to stomach cancer. So, when I was initially thinking of what to say about my life with Lynch and how to say it, I thought I was going to create a great detailed presentation with fancy visuals and graphs and all of that. And then the more I thought about it, the more I realized that I only needed 2 visuals to describe what having Lynch syndrome is like for me. This is the first image, which is up on screen. So, as you can tell, it's trees with a ton of roots. And that's a pretty accurate representation of my family tree. There are so many of us that are Lynchies, we might as well be the poster children. Its roots just never end, and they're all intertwined and intermingled. And I'm sure most of you feel this way too. In my family, Lynch is dominant on my mother's side. Although strangely enough, it is most of my second and third cousins that have it. Out of my numerous first cousins, only my sister and I have been diagnosed with it. Obviously, my mom had it, although she was never tested because she died at age 59 of a rare brain tumor after a traumatic 5.5-month battle. She had also been previously diagnosed with another primary cancer, colorectal cancer at 57. The first time Lynch affected my family was in 1976, although none of us knew it at the time. My uncle, my mom's brother, died of stomach cancer in his early 50s. It was a very short and horrible battle. 4 months later, my mom's first cousin died of colon cancer. He was 42, and his battle was even worse. Lynch left us alone for a number of years, but when it hit, again, it hit with a vengeance. Colon cancer, pancreatic cancer, brain tumors, the list goes on, and most of my family didn't survive them. When I actually first heard about Lynch, I was at a dinner with my second cousin's wife, who was also a friend, after I had been diagnosed with my first cancer, which was bladder cancer. By this time, both my parents had died of cancer. She told me that my cousin and his brothers had had some blood tests that showed that 2 out of the 3 of them had this genetic syndrome called hereditary non-polyposis colorectal cancer, which I was like, what in God's green earth is that? She suggested we should get tested because they were related on my mom's side. At that time, I honestly didn't think there could be any possible way that I had this. They were my second cousins. I just didn't see the connection. I wish I had. I often think if I had pushed for testing back then, perhaps I could have avoided being diagnosed with stomach cancer. My stage 2B stomach cancer diagnosis changed my life forever. To be honest, the bladder cancer had been a walk in the park, as much as any diagnosis of cancer can be. It was frightening, but it was stage 0. The tumor had been removed. I didn't have any follow-up treatment, and I was monitored annually. And for 9 years, all was good. Then 1 week before my 45th birthday, I went in for a scheduled colonoscopy and endoscopy because I'd been having ulcer-like symptoms. I knew something was wrong, but I never expected to hear, "You have stomach cancer." My world literally stopped. All I could think of was 2 things. Not again, and I'm not going to survive this time. The first thing my surgeon said to me at my consultation was that I needed to have genetic testing. I was much too young to have been hit with cancer twice. He was convinced that I had some type of genetic syndrome. He was right. I had laparoscopic surgery to remove 80% of my stomach, followed by a 4.5-month protocol of chemo and radiation, which occurred concurrently. At my first appointment with my medical oncologist, she too insisted I have genetic testing done. And so halfway through my oh-so-fun cancer treatment, I went for my genetic consultation, where this big family tree started. I think my appointment lasted for over 2 hours. Melissa can attest to that. Then came the blood test and the testing of my tumor, and then the waiting, the long 3-month wait. In February of 2012, I was told that I was positive for Lynch. For me, being told that I was positive was and is a double-edged sword. I finally had the answer as to why I had been hit twice by cancer, but it also meant that for the rest of my life, lurching Lynch, as my sister often refers to it, puts me at risk for all types of cancer. I immediately called my brother and sister, and then all my first cousins on my mom's side, and told them they should get tested. These weren't easy discussions. For some reason, I felt responsible. I felt guilty, almost as if it was my fault. It still baffles me that the only 2 that tested positive in that first line were my sister and I, but I guess that's genetics. Some of my other Lynch cancer highlights: I lost 95 pounds, which I have never gained back. My entire digestive system changed. I still can't eat a full-size meal. In 2013, I had a full hysterectomy to avoid any chance of endometrial cancer and went into shock menopause. I suffer from anxiety, and I have other lifelong side effects which are just too many to describe. This brings me to the second image of my presentation, which is now on the screen. This jumbled up, intertwined, giant ball of elastics is how having Lynch makes me feel most of the time. I have the MSH2 strain, and being diagnosed with both bladder and stomach cancer, 2 of the not so common types of cancer associated with Lynch, makes my case that much more special. Not so sure I'd use the word special, but I go between feeling frustrated, infuriated, and most of the time, terrified. I often feel like a science project, just trying to figure out how to untangle all these rubber bands of emotions and physical things. Most days, Lynch stays at the back of my mind, but there are those days when it comes right to the front. Those are the days when a headache lasts too long, or periods when what I have left of my stomach is cramping horribly. Those are the days of blood tests and scans and scopes and waiting for results. I get through those days by reaching out, whether to my sister, who also has Lynch, or to others who have Lynch via an online support group. For me, knowing that I'm not alone as I try to untangle the rubber bands makes it easier. I am thankful for every day that I'm here, no matter how tough. After all, I am a 2-time survivor of cancer. Today, November 1st, marks exactly 6 years and 2 months of being free of stomach cancer, which has a 5-year survival rate of 25%. And tomorrow, November 2nd, will mark 51 years and 3 months of being a Lynch survivor, and those are pretty good statistics. I have a quote that I have framed in my office that says, The only way to live is by accepting each minute as an unrepeatable miracle. And so if there's anything I can offer to anyone here, is that no matter how tangled the ball of elastics gets sometimes, remember that each moment of our lives with Lynch, all of us here, has to be seen as a miracle. Thank you.